I'm a Puritan. I like original cars. I don't like to fiddle with them. I say to people, don't drive with your foot, drive with your head. And in trying to do better, doesn't mean going crazy. Yeah, Western Superman, and I think I took it up to 157 miles an hour.
Hello, welcome to Vintage Velocity, the podcast from the Vintage Sports Car Club. I'm Laura Plattman, and today I am with Vijay Mallya. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me today. We are sitting amongst 4 special cars in your garage, which we're going to talk about, and some cars that you haven't got in the garage here as well. Now, for those listening only, we're sitting, behind me is a beautiful Aston Martin Ulster. Behind Vijay is a D-Type. And then we also have a BMW Frazer Nash behind Vijay. And then behind the Aston is
The Allard.
The Allard. So that's what we have for those just listening. And for those watching, enjoy. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Where shall we begin? I would like to start with talking about the cars that we're surrounded by. The one behind me is the Aston Martin Ulster 1934. What made you want to have this car? And I heard that you were going to be not, selling it soon, but you've got it back. So what made you choose this car?
Well, Aston Martin is a very, very famous British marque, and Ulster is probably amongst the most important of all pre-war Astons. And after a gap of about 20 years, I decided to start competing on track myself. And the Ulster is a great car for competition purposes, but with a caveat. Sadly, in today's day and age, one sees many original cars heavily modified to make them competitive on track. I'm a Puritan. I like original cars. I don't like to fiddle with them. And therefore, I might not be as competitive as I want to be. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the enjoyment. But there's one particular difficulty I have with this Ulster, and that is because there is no door, I can't get in and out of it pretty easily.
Who needs doors?
Well, I know you're right in a way, but getting in and out is a struggle, particularly because I have, sadly, a bad back following a helicopter crash about 22 years ago. But so my mobility is somewhat restricted. And
getting out is the operative word here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you need to get out in a hurry, it's a safety issue.
Yeah. So, but this car can be hill climbed, or is that still the same as the safety issue, the same?
Well, I guess
feeling?
All forms of competition will have the same safety issue, but the beauty about this particular car is that, in the words of Stephen Archer, who is a very knowledgeable Aston expert, he calls it the giant among equals. There are several Ulsters, many of which were referred to as LM or Le Mans cars. This is not an LM, but it's a Le Mans finisher as a private entry. But he has termed it as a giant among equals because it is perhaps the most original Ulster around. And that originality means a lot to me.
It's such a beautiful gem. I mean, the dashboard is just exquisite. I mean, it's so different to the Allard behind it, which is much wider, so simple with its dashboard and tools. And tell us about the Allard as well, if you might.
That's a very rare Allard. It's a JR. raced by Sydney Allard himself. It's got a big Cadillac engine in it, as most Allards did. Yeah, and this one has a 3-speed gearbox. Plenty of torque, as you can imagine. And
does it have doors? Yes.
Yes, it does. Don't worry, it has doors. When the Allard Motor Company decided to make a continuation car of the Allard, they chose the JR model, that model. And in fact, a lot of the continuation example that they produced was based on this car.
And so, what's the year of this Allard?
It's 1956, if I'm not mistaken.
Where have you raced that Allard?
Not yet.
Where you're going to be campaigning at somewhere?
You know, I think I'm spoiled for choice because, I mean, if you talk about pre-war cars, I have the option of the BMW 328.
Which we've got just behind the D-Type.
Yes. When it comes to the 50s cars, well, the Works D-Type behind me and the Allard would probably go in the same class. So it depends on which one
gets invited for that event as well.
Invited, yes, particularly to prestigious events like Goodwood. It's invitation based, but otherwise, even to enter in races that are organized, I mean, I can only drive one car at a time.
Yeah. Do you let anyone else drive your car?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In fact, the Sunbeam Tiger last year at Goodwood was driven by Patrick Blakeney Edwards.
And he, in fact, is restoring that car. I went to see it, and it's, I don't know if you know, but it's completely just in its chassis state at the moment.
No, I saw some pictures, yes.
Okay, good.
And I'm going there on Monday to meet him, so...
You wasn't under the impression that it was fully made up car?
No. Well, basically, the gearbox is being rebuilt, so that had to come out. And so is the rear axle. So yeah, what is left is the chassis with the engine in front.
So whilst we were talking about the Sunbeam that's at Patrick Blakeney Edwards, I went on a bit of a wild goose chase trying to research that car because I was looking at land speed record Sunbeams and immediately it came up with the 350 horsepower Malcolm Campbell Bluebird, which of course it's not. It's the Tiger with the sister car of the Tigress.
Yes.
And then also the Slug, with the Sunbeam Slug was the one after. So what made you decide to get that car?
You know, this car collection that is owned by my family trust started quite by accident. It was actually in 1974. My father's secretary in India won an Aston 7 in a lottery.
Gosh.
And of course, the poor secretary didn't know what to do with it. So he came to my father, who promptly bought it. My father also was quite fond of cars. At the same time, my cousin brother bought himself a Swift in India. Of course, that was, as I said, 50 years ago. There was no sort of movement towards acquisition and preservation of historic automobiles, even though, as history will say, most of the fabulous bodied Rolls-Royce and Bentleys actually were sold to the Indian princes.
Yeah.
So there was many cars there, but nobody had any appreciation for them. Of course, back in 74, I was a young kid. But that's when the collection really started and has been built over a number of years by my family trust. And the trustees also know that it was always my father's desire that there should be a collection of classics in the family. And yeah, so that philosophy has prevailed and continues to prevail. Sunbeam Tiger was acquired, I believe, in 1990, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a long while ago.
Yeah.
And it was acquired basically on one premise, there can only be one world land speed record car. So any which way you look at it, there is only one example, and it will always hold pride of place as the world land speed record car. And I guess that was most of the logic behind that acquisition, apart from the fact that it is frighteningly fast. You have a V12 with twin supercharged. I've driven it extensively, and so I know. It's great fun, but it's terrifying at times. I remember one VSCC event. It was a sprint.
Maybe
Western Supermare.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Western Supermare. And I think I took it up to 157 miles an hour.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What was the speed that it reached?
At the world land speed record, 152.
Oh, okay.
But my 157 miles per hour achievement is still on that telltale on the rev counter. And so every time I speak to my engineers who run the car, I say, don't worry, I'm not going to over-rev that engine again. Did it once, I guess, in the frenzy of the moment, because it was all in a straight line. It was great to reach that kind of speed and, of course, win the event, but it was kind of quite terrifying to stop it.
And was your body shaking too?
It always shakes. In an event, I guess people would be lying if they said their bodies weren't shaking. It's the adrenaline. It's the fun. It's the excitement, of the moment.
And when it was stopping, did you think, when is it going to stop?
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, it doesn't have powerful brakes.
And did you have enough space to stop?
Oh, yeah. Don't worry.
That's okay.
I always, even when I race today, I say to people, don't drive with your foot, drive with your head. I've had the good fortune of owning a Formula One team for 10 years. So I know all about competitive racing. But there is a fine line between being safe and being not so safe. As far as I'm concerned, when I compete, I don't care where I finish. Of course, I'd like to finish at the sharp end, but safety will never be compromised. I'd rather go out there, enjoy myself, bring the car back home without any damage, without any incident, rather than try and go crazy, spin all over the place, crash into the barriers, crash into other cars. No, that's no fun for me.
But you have a little bit of I've got to do better than last time with the car.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I time myself. I mean, I have what I call a practice car. It's a 1964 MGB. And I take that around various circuits on track days. And yeah, sure, I time myself every time I go, and I try to do better. But once again, in trying to do better, doesn't mean going crazy.
And so where the gearbox is being sorted out at the moment with Patrick. When's it going to be out again? When will we see it out again?
The gearbox, a new gearbox is being actually made. The casing is being machined out of a single aluminum billet. All the internals are being manufactured and machined. And this is being done by a company up near Birmingham. I'm in constant touch with them, and they believe 3 to 4 months. That was at the start of the year.
Okay.
I'm going on Monday to meet with Patrick at Blakeney to look at the issue with the rear axle. But I guess in about 4 months from now, the car should be back on track.
And so where do you expect to
There are plenty of VSCC events for the Tiger. And from what I understand, the VSCC are always delighted to welcome Tiger to their events. And yeah, I'm also, compared to any other car, I very proudly sit in that Tiger, because I know it's such an important car and what a privilege it is to drive it.
So with the gearbox being made and the axle being sorted out, it's being made to the original specifications, but with new parts.
Well, no.
So does that create an allowance for a different speed on it, in the sense that it's got the new parts allow it to go faster, essentially?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
This is to the exact specifications of the existing gearbox. It's just that there is metal fatigue since 1925. There are cracks that have taken place over the years. And so basically it's just being renewed with new metal. But the design and everything, it's a pre-selected gearbox, is all exactly the same. So it does not affect the performance of the car. It's a question of reliability so that the gearbox doesn't break.
And it keeps safe and it keeps being utilized and used and seen, which is just perfect. Have any of those land speed record cars been placed next to each other? You know, all of the different Sunbeams, the Campbell 350, then the Tiger, and then the Slug, and have they ever been in an event together?
No, I don't believe so.
That would be something for my eyes.
Yeah.
For my eyes, that would be an amazing thing. Let's go back to another car that's being that you don't have anymore, actually, which is the ERA R4D. And you owned that for a little while. And what was the want for purchasing that car? And I know the importance of it in that sense, but tell everybody why you got that car.
It was the ERA R4D.
D. Sorry, not B, everybody. D.
Yeah. Look, I was living in England. I was competing in VSCC events. The ERA R4D, I mean, its reputation preceded itself. It was the fastest and most competitive ERA ever. And so when I had the opportunity to acquire it and drive it, I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. It has caused harm to people who have owned and driven it. So it is pretty dangerous to drive. But having said that, if you're sensible, you can race it and win in it comfortably, without risking anything. I think her current owner is one such gentleman who is a very nice man, and he wins regularly in it and he drives it very sensibly. Now, that car and the Van Wall VW10 Grand Prix winning car were also part of the collection. The Van Wall VW10 is now part of Bernie Eccleston's F1 collection that is reportedly for sale. And that obviously was a very, very special car. But when the collection moved to America in the early 90s, there was this debate about what Americans would appreciate, what Americans would know about, and what Americans would sort of not bother to look at twice. Sadly, the conversation in those days was that nobody in America would look towards an ERA or a Van Wall, that they were more interested in the traditional Ferraris and Jaguars and
Cobra,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the Cobras, of course, the Shelby Cobra. And so a decision was made by the trustees to sell those cars. And, at that time, the collection moved, spent several years in California, and who knows? I mean, at that time, nobody knew that the collection would be back in England one day. But as I said, the only reason for selling those two cars was, what do the Americans know about these cars? There are no races for them in America, and they won't be appreciated in a museum. All of which, in hindsight, was wrong. But there you go. I mean, some good acquisitions over the years, some mistakes made in sales, but that's part of the game.
So the van was for sale at the moment. You're gonna acquire it back?
No, I mean, I don't really know, and I haven't been following it. But once again, any car must be complementary to the collection and must also have a racing or a competitive purpose where there is no other example in the collection now. I mean, I'm sitting in front of perhaps one of the most famous Jaguars ever. I mean, this is a Works D-Type.
This is a 1954?
That's correct.
And it raced at Reims and...
Yeah, well, it was one of the three entered by Jaguar. OKV 1, 2 and 3 were entered in Le Mans, and this was Jaguar's first winner.
Who are the drivers for? Okay.
Hawthorne, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
So I have one experience with a D-Type. I was lucky, so privileged to have Mr. JR sitting next to me.
Oh, wow.
And I was driving around Fen End with him sitting next to me, and I couldn't reach the clutch. So we got it into third, and I bunny hopped out of the paddock, out of the car park. I drove it around Fen End just in third and got it back. And it was the most visceral experience in a car because it was like a rocket ship. And because it was in third already, and it started up like a jet and it just wanted to go. It was absolutely incredible. Have you raced this car?
This car has been in restoration by DK Engineering for 5 years. Complete body off, ground up restoration. And it came back late last year.
Oh, so it's recently...
So it hasn't had the opportunity of seeing the track yet. So one day, I mean, it's a special enough car to be out on track with. It's, I believe, special enough to be invited to invitational events.
Yeah.
But let's see how it goes.
That would be a car to just the history of knowing who sat in that car and where it's been and what it produced from the 1954 onwards, and what the company is now, and how their racing progression has happened all the way through. It's pretty incredible, isn't it? That whole scenario, and also the wing on the D-Type is because of the Le Mans Straight, which wasn't straight, but
it's part of their aerodynamic design, and it's quite incredible that back then they were thinking about aerodynamics. You know, as I said, in my 10 years in Formula One, I mean, the amount of time I've spent in wind tunnels and with aerodynamicists, and the attention to airflow is absolutely incredible in that sport. Now, you go back to 1954, and you talk about the designers thinking about aerodynamics and airflow. I mean, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it?
And you look at it, and it's a visual airflow.
Yeah.
I mean, you can physically see the air just kiss the top of it and fly off and cut through. And then with today's Formula One, the actual the sort of the technology that's used, it is incredible. Now behind the D-Type, you mentioned briefly, but we have the BMW Frazer Nash. And what's the story with this car?
It's an extraordinary car. It's 1937, pre-war, 2-liter. It's badged as a Frazer Nash because it's right-hand drive. And all Frazer Nash did back in the day is import the cars into England for sale in England. Otherwise, it is a BMW for all intents and purposes. Built in Germany by BMW. Given German engineering, it's a 1937 built car. But let me tell you, its design, its handling, and so many features of that car are actually, I would say, in the 50s. So the car was way ahead of its time in 1937, which I'm not surprised with. So it's a great car to drive, to compete in. I won 2 races in last year, 2024.
And it has a door.
Oh, don't worry. All of them have doors.
Apart from the Aston.
Yes. If I was not so particular about originality, it's a pretty easy job to cut a door out in the Ulster and make a door. So, the door is not the be-all and end-all of things. But if I did it, then it would be a modified Ulster and not as original as she is. Yeah.
Now, the technology, we've got a 34 Ulster and a 37 BMW. Not too many years apart from each other, but the BMW is light years ahead with technology.
Yes, in many ways. Plus, of course, the Ulster has a 1.5-litre engine. That's a 2-litre engine. The BMW has a 2-litre engine. So obviously, it's more powerful and quicker. But having said that, I mean, if you look at the various circuits around England and all the various events, I mean, the Aston Red Dragon is the quickest of them all, beating all other marks of cars as well. But then one has to realize that car is heavily modified. Yeah, so it's fine. I mean, everybody seems to just accept it, which is okay. I'm not here to criticize anybody, but it is modified. Mine's not. So I cannot possibly be competitive.
And there's plenty, I mean, there's a few cars that are modified, but there's plenty of cars that aren't. There's plenty of cars that are original that these cars can compete with, which makes for a jolly good race.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But I'm not so sure that every race or every important race has cars that are equal, which are unmodified.
Yeah.
I think over the years, standards have gradually allowed modified cars to come through. I mean, when I started racing in the 70s in India, when India had very tight exchange control.
What were you racing then?
Oh, yeah.
What was the car you were racing?
Well, I started off racing a Triumph TR3. I used to also race in modified Indian cars, which was Fiat Millicento that was made in India for many years. And nothing was available. You couldn't import anything. It was completely banned by government. Of course, there was no foreign exchange availability. So even an Indian citizen who wanted to travel outside of India was able to do so only once in 3 years, and would probably get an allowance of £100 for every trip. That's it. So exchange control was very tight. So, we learned to I wouldn't say cheat, but I would say that, how do we make this car go faster? We can't get a new carburetor, we can't do this, that. And so what we did is basically shave the head, and things like this. So I know the tricks of the trade on how people can modify cars to make them go quicker without anybody else noticing it. But no, I am upfront, clean, scrutineer. Come, take a look at my car. You don't like something, talk about it. But I won't fiddle with originality.
And so your main concern is originality, which is why you've collected particular cars, because they're pure to form and hadn't been sort of modified. Is there a car that that's got away from you, that you wish that you saw being sold, and you thought, I really want that car, but it got away? And is there a car that you've been watching sort of go around the circuit or go around the world, and you just think, I really would love to have that car because it would fit perfectly?
You know, to be quite honest with you, these things happen. These things do happen. I mean, what is lacking in this garage is a good Edwardian, which one could race, a competitive Edwardian. Yes, the trustees have missed a few. Some just got away because they were not willing to pay the money that the cars went for eventually. But if you look around this garage, what I'm proud about is we have a variety. We have different examples of different eras and all very special cars. I mean, you take the case of the Jaguars here. I mean, in England, you have a fine example of Jaguar cars, Aston Martin cars. It's sort of kind of heritage-based as well, isn't it? And I have a 1913 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost back there, which I raced in 1989 and 1990. Up there on the wall, you'll see my trophies. It was the Interstate Batteries Great American Race, coast to coast, 4,000 miles each way. Yep, across America, correct. So I did it in 89 and 90 in that car.
In
that 1913 Rolls-Royce, which is now, what, 112 years old.
Crikey.
And those are my prizes there. And also the photograph of a check, $150 check that I won, and I didn't cash it, I framed it.
So is there a race or a rally or a sprint or a location that you haven't yet attempted or participated in that you think, I want to do that next or in the next few years?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody aspires to go on the world's most famous circuits. I've never done Le Mans. I love to do Le Mans. Spa used to be one of my favorite Formula One circuits when I owned the team. I'd love to drive at Spa. I haven't done it. So yeah,
what would you like to drive at Spa, and what would you like to drive at Le Mans? There'd be two different cars, right?
If I want to drive a car at Le Mans, it's got to be the one behind me, right? The D-Type Jaguar. I mean, it was built for Le Mans.
Absolutely.
But having said that, I'm closer to the time when I'm ready to go, I'll decide on the car then. But otherwise, the VSCC is a great club with a lot of great enthusiasts, very committed and dedicated people, very nice people. And I'm a part of a VSCC chat. And it's absolutely incredible how much they help each other for various events, mostly hill climbs. But I have another passion, which is boating. And in 2024, I didn't get to go on my boat. And of course, my son got married, so that took up a lot of time. But, I really enjoy the water. And so I've planned 2025 in a way that I can participate in the various VSCC and Motor Racing Legends events, but also have time enough to enjoy my boat.
That's a dream, isn't it? Having both your passions in 1 year at the same time, complementing each other and being able to choose where you want to go out.
And hoping that the English summer will be a true summer.
So you're talking about the VSCC and helping each other. What advice have you got for young people wanting to get into the motoring industry? You have been in this industry as a businessman for your career. What would you suggest to young people who want to get into any aspect of the motoring industry? You know, the VACC is obviously great for grassroots engineering, mechanics, and working together. What about in the larger scale of things?
Well, if you look at, okay, let's divide it into modern cars and classic cars. Then let's talk about the pinnacle of the sport, which is Formula One. You know, in Formula One, if you get there, obviously it's the highest paying part of the industry in every which way, whether you're a driver, you're an engineer, whatever. But not everybody can get there. If you look at the opportunities for people who are interested in automobile engineering, and if you look at classic cars, the VSCC type cars, there are so many restorers in this country, okay, who are not cheap. They're very, very expensive, right? And the labor rates are very, very expensive. That would make a great career for somebody who is interested in automobile engineering, mechanical engineering, who gets to work at one of these restoration workshops. So it isn't as if there is no opportunity. And of course, now all the youngsters are into supercars and hypercars. Well, supercars and hypercars don't require much engineering work because they come out ready-made. And of course, you have to pay an enormous sum of money to buy them. I mean, how much does a Pagani cost? I mean, how much does a McLaren cost? A Bugatti Chiron. I mean, these are multi-million pound cars. Now, my son, he's 37. Okay, he's a youngster. He loves spending time in this garage. He absolutely loves it. His contemporaries, some of the boys he went to school with, who I know, of course, and I've known since they were real kids, they're not interested in looking at the classic cars in this garage. They're more interested, in looking at a Bugatti Veyron or a hypercar. So it's horses for courses. Tastes are changing. Youngsters, have their own wants and desires. They are not quite what they were 20, 30, 40 years ago when I was young. And one just has to sort of live with the changing times.
I think with historic and classic cars, there's more of a chance of driving them, looking after them, sitting in them, having experiences with them, than the Bugatti Veyron and the Pagani. Unless, of course, you come from a different wealth of scenarios.
No, absolutely. I mean, when these cars go out, even to the pub, and
the looks and the stares and the smiles and the delights and the oh my goshes.
It's heartwarming. It's really heartwarming. When one of these cars go out, parked in the car park of a pub, the number of people who are looking at it in appreciation is really heartwarming. But not very many of those admirers are youngsters. That's the sad part. I wish more youngsters would learn to appreciate. Much as I said about the BMW 328, it's 1937 built, but in my view, it drives more like a 50s car. That is really engineering being ahead of its time, and it's fascinating. But whether that appeals to the youngsters of today or not, I don't know.
Well, I think that, the example that you have behind you, the D-Type Jaguar, I mean, talking about aerodynamics and engineering, as you said earlier, it's just phenomenal how you can see speed on that car. It's not even moving, and you can see the speed.
Yes. Yes.
Gosh, well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for talking to us.
No, welcome. Thanks for coming by.
And we're going to have a little closer look at some of the interiors of these cars, I think.
Of course.
And there is one thing that we have, which I've just noticed sitting next to you, is the seat from the Sunbeam Tiger, which is is this the original seat where Henry Seagrove sat?
Yes.
His actual seat, where he actually sat on?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the seat?
Well, this is the original seat. That's all I know about it. And then, it's very well patinaed and so on and so forth. So, when I jump in that Tiger, we just put in a new seat and kept this, as I always keep the old parts, the original parts.
That are quite fragile, that are too fragile.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me, crazy as it seems, this little seat sitting on the floor is the sort of, for me, it's like the origins of motor racing.
Yeah, in many ways. And at the end of the day, you didn't have all the harnesses and the seat belts while driving. And so, no, I think that the very design of the seat is that you can sit snugly and not get thrown about laterally.
Seagrove was the first person to have a hardened helmet after all the leather helmets, wasn't he? So he was very future thinking in the fact that he'd seen quite a lot of accidents happen around him, and he wanted to protect his head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So he had that one of the first hardened helmets. So the seats are tight, snug fit as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in the Sunbeam that's kind of that's safety orientated as well? Is there anything else?
No. Look, I think the car was designed and built with that kind of power, with the land speed record in mind. Otherwise, have a 12-cylinder twin supercharged engine is not normal. It's got both its carburetors right at the bottom as well. So it certainly wasn't designed for road use, even though mine is road registered. And it's got a pre-selected gearbox. Now, you need to know how to drive a pre-selected gearbox.
How do you drive a pre-select?
Well, you first select your gear. And when you're ready for the gear to change, you depress the clutch. So in a normal car, when you're driving along a manual car, you would depress the clutch and then change your gear. In a pre-selector box, you select the gear you want first, and then when you want it to engage, you depress the clutch. And of course, the other thing in the Tiger, perfectly safe, is you have to keep an eye on the fuel pressure. Otherwise, there's a hand pump on the dash where you need to keep the fuel pressure up. And of course, I don't know how much you have been told about the starting protocol of that car.
I haven't been told anything, so let's
so
just go for a little bit.
It has to be started on methanol.
Okay,
and after it's fired up, you switch it over to petrol. So it isn't something that, it's standing there, get in it, start it, and off you go. No. It requires a little bit of TLC. That's
gorgeous.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous. Oh, I can't wait to see it back on the road. Can't wait to see it back. I'm sure it will be probably at a Goodwood something, hill climb or something like that.
Yeah, otherwise there are other VSCC events.
And other events as well.
I'll take it to, yes. No, yeah, I've done press part events.
And how did it work?
Well, it
just want to go, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But in a straight line, yes. But when it comes to a tight corner, it's a long car. It's a very heavy car. So to turn it in quick enough to a corner is hard work and
a joy. It must be a joy for everyone to see.
It is a joy, but then it behoves the question: how competitive are you? Because you have these little nimble Frazer Nashes and so on, sort of going up quickly, going around the corners pretty rapidly, etc., etc. I mean, poor Tiger has all the power in a straight line. They'll blow them all away, but then in a corner, it's difficult.
I bet everybody standing on those corners must have smiles from ear to ear when it's achieving these turns.
No, but
getting out,
you know, as I said, I've
the
seen
joy it gives.
so many admirers of Sunbeam Tiger that it's heartwarming.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for people who appreciate the car.
Gorgeous. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I look forward to speaking to somebody else next time. And gosh, I'm going to look at these cars now. Thank you.